So, starting with Excel and its absolute basics, we're going to go through that now. We're going to look at what a spreadsheet is, the basic sort of premise behind how it works, what you're actually going to do with it, and we'll then look at opening Excel, creating a new sheet, and you'll in a very short space of time see that it's something that is really, really straightforward and easy to do. So if I go across now to a demonstration really of what you will see on opening Excel. You're going to see a matrix of columns and rows, all looking exactly the same. Each of these is called a field into which you can put numbers, letters. You can give each of the fields different identities. So at its most simple form, you can put a number in here, you can put a number in there, and you can create an outcome there, or a number there, and an outcome there. Or even across diagonally, there are obviously infinite permutations as to what you can be doing. So you've got rows here. The rows are numbered 1, 2, 3, all the way down to essentially infinity, almost. And then your columns A, B, C, D, etc. So this would be C3. This would be B4. You can identify every single block with an identity, an absolute unique identity of its own. And once you've put a number in and a number in, you can then calculate an outcome by referring that field to any 2, 3, 4 multiple fields by name. So that's what you see when you open Excel. You see this matrix. Now, there are a variety of ways of opening a new spreadsheet. So what we've got here now is my very, very clean desktop, because I don't really particularly like heaps of things on it. So in order to find Excel, most Microsoft computers will have at some point had Office Suite loaded, so there should be Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook. If you don't have an icon to open Excel from your desktop, there are a few ways of doing it. So what you can do is you can go here and you can have a look and there is Excel. You can open it there. Blank workbook. And there we go. There's a clean blank page, essentially. That's one way of doing it. Your option is you can right click anywhere on your desktop and you can go new, and you can go new Microsoft Excel worksheet. Now there's a difference between opening the program and creating a blank worksheet. So the first way, we open the program in which we can now create a worksheet. But if we go this way, this allows us to create a standalone worksheet that you open in Excel. There's a subtle difference between the two. So what we'll do here is we're going to call this one sample. Sample. Now we still have Excel open. There it is. So we click on it. And there is a blank untitled sheet. Book 1. That is the default name, Book 1. So I'm going to close this. And we're going to go back to this one here that we created. Remember, we right-clicked. We went new Microsoft Excel worksheet. Now, when you open a new sheet, you can modify it, you can work on it, you can save it, you can close it. You run no risk of changing anything irreparably, of having to put the program back on your computer. There's nothing to panic about. There's nothing to fear with these things. This is simply an application that has been devised for your benefit and for you to be able to work efficiently, creating something that can be customized to a particular need that you may have. Now, as I said in the introduction, I make use of Excel for costings. Costings of spare parts, costings of machinery, budgeting. That's a fantastic use of a spreadsheet. Now we're going to open this one. We're going to double click on it. And there we have, as I mentioned earlier, we've got our rows and our columns like we had there. And what we're going to do now is just explore what we have in front of us. So across the top here, we've got various tabs. It defaults to the Home tab. You can click on File. File gives you some options, print related and relating to the document that you've actually created now. Saving it, opening it, renaming it. So this tab is in a sense different to all of these. These tabs are very specific to the spreadsheet that you just opened. You've got Home, Insert, Draw, Page Layout, Formulas, Data. I'm not going to click through each of them at this point. The Home tab is where you're going to probably be spending most of your time. And it's a tab that allows you to change colors, change fonts, realign things, give numeric value and various numeric formatting to certain things, to certain fields, conditional formatting, insertion of cells. This is where you'll probably spend 80% of your time. It's very seldom that you're going to, on a regular basis, look at any of these other tabs. Now, on opening a new spreadsheet, you've got it defaulting to block A1. And as I said, every block or field has got its own individual identity. So you can see A1 up here, and we can go to B2, we can go to C3, we can go to D4. With your arrow keys, you can also move across, up and down. So I'm going to start in B2. And in B2, I'm going to put a number. I'm going to put 88. When you type it into the field, you can see it's duplicated here. So now if you click anywhere else, your number 88 remains in position where you left it. If you want to change that number to 80 or any other number, you can highlight the block, and up here you're going to backspace and you're going to put 80. There we go. There is our 80 in place. Now if you want to put something into block C, we can put let's put 20 into block C. So now what we've done is we've populated two fields with two numbers. You can also put in letters. You can put in dates. There's a variety of things that can go into each of these. But what I want to do is illustrate our very, very first formula. So into this field C2, I'm going to put 20. And now to illustrate what I was saying earlier with two numbers and an outcome, we're going to now put in a very, very simple formula. We're going to say we want this field D2 to be equal, so I type in the equal sign, and now I highlight block B2, and you can see there's the identity. And now I'm going to add a plus sign, and I'm going to highlight block C2. And I'm going to push enter. And we've done a formula. We've added B2 to C2 to give an outcome in D2. That is quite possibly one of the simplest formulas ever put into Excel. But there is an outcome. You've got two inputs and an output. Now, if at this point we've got smoke coming out of our ears and we've had enough, we now want to close and save our sample sheet for opening at a later stage. So what we can do is we can either click save up here, or we can just close it and answer save changes to the file, save. Now, and again, just to emphasize, what we've got here is a document that opens in Excel. This is not Excel. We are not opening a fresh document when we open this, of course. We open a saved, modified file in Excel. So I'm going to illustrate that by opening it again, double clicking. There we have our very elaborate document. So we will move on now to the next step. Next, in simple basic editing, it's very helpful to know how to undo things. Undoing can save a little bit of pain down the line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1 into block F7. I'm going to put a 2 and a 3. These are just arbitrary numbers to illustrate the undo functionality. At the top here, these are little very handy shortcuts. You've got an arrow that points backwards. And if I now click that, if I left click it, the 4 vanishes, 3 vanishes, the 2 vanishes. Now we've got a forward facing arrow. I can reintroduce the 2, the 3 and the 4 by clicking those arrows. Back and forth. Now that might not seem too exciting or useful, but if you've made a very elaborate change to a spreadsheet, it could be very difficult to undo that change manually, one step at a time. If you've changed a whole column of figures by applying a formula, you don't want to have to undo that formula one field at a time. You can use the undo button to undo your last action. That takes you back a step. Whatever you did last, you can undo it with that step. And if you don't like having undone it, you can then redo it. So these are very useful. Obviously, saving, that's super useful. You don't want to lose the work that you've been busy with. We're going to finish up shortly, but I want you to just see basic editing functions. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover this block here. Now, you can, if you highlight a field, remember you can drag as well with your mouse. You keep the left button down and you can drag as one can do on one's Windows screen. I think we've all done this. It's essentially exactly the same motion. You can use that to highlight a group of fields. And within those fields, either individually or as a group, you can now make something bold, you can give it an italic look, you can underline it, you can change the background color, you can change the font color, and all of this you can of course undo step by step by step. These are tools for making a spreadsheet look pretty. And quite frankly, a nice looking worksheet is always a pleasure to use. As a little aside, what I do is when I create a sheet, anything that is manually put into the sheet, I always have it in blue, and then I have calculated fields in black. So my clue when I open a sheet of mine is that anything in blue that I can fiddle with, but I don't want to touch any of the fields that are in black. Those are very often calculated fields. So there we are. We've got a very useless spreadsheet that we are looking at, which can't really do much for us. But what you've got are various functions illustrated which form building blocks. Before I close this first session, I want to just reiterate the importance of understanding columns and rows. When you open a new spreadsheet, you've got a whole bunch of columns and rows with a predetermined size. So I'm going to click on, if you click here, you're clicking on the field, but if you click at the top, you are highlighting the entire column or you are highlighting the entire row. Here's a neat trick. If you click here, you are highlighting the entire worksheet. So when you click there and you make changes, you're making changes to the entire document. That's something to bear in mind because it's a powerful maneuver. You don't want to do that unless you're pretty sure of, that you're wanting to make a very universal change. So what we've now got is a column, a row of predetermined sizes, and up here you've got a font and a font size, which are by default applied to these rows and columns. Now, if you want to change the font and the font size to the entire worksheet, then you click here. And I can show you that if we go from Calibri to Aptos and we want to make it a 12, there we go, change done. We don't like that font, we don't like that size, we undo it. And we're back where we started. And you'll note the little arrow, the little downward facing arrow, if you move it to the side, you see it turns into two outward facing arrows. What you are now doing is changing the size of that particular column as you move left and right. So you can stretch it out, you can stretch it in. A handy tip is double clicking at this point. Double clicking at that point compresses the width of the column to the widest of anything you type in. So if you want to now put in B4, if you put in 100, let's call it 1,000, it's automatically moved the column out. Sometimes what you'll get is this. There's your clue. Those two hashtags are your clue that the column is too narrow. So what you then do, you would highlight the column, move the mouse, double click, and there it opens it up again. With that, we'll move on to the next sector of this.